Yeah, they tap into the liberal victimhood type of. They know that the liberals like right away are drawn towards victimhood, and we have to take care of them, and everything else falls out the window. But so I was going to say, Candace Owens is cozies up to Nick Fuentes type of person. I don't know if you know who Nick Fuentes is.
Yeah. But the thing is that they are far right and far left. They kind of meet in this at this point of like we both hate Jews, and I don't think it's either right or left. It's just like this plague of anti-Semitism that became like normalized. So people kind of things that would not be said at all are now saying very, very clearly by many people, very like openly. And this is why we also see like at the end things like that people take it into real life.
But this is communication in 2025. You got to understand, this is political trolling on social audio or on X and other places. There's a lot of platforms of hate.
Social audio. It's way bigger than
no, I know it's big platforms. It's a mind virus across look at Pepe. Pepe comes from the far right. Pepe can tell you the platforms where these hate producers and hate content creators live and exist. Pepe, tell us where the hate is, Dr. Pepe. What is the source of hate?
Idiocy. They're mostly on. There's people. I can't give you a reason why people.
Right, are you asking where he goes for his hate?
No, where his hate came from. He comes from hate. Pepe comes from the far right. Ask Dr. Pepe. Where is the source of hate, Dr. Pepe?
It's the ignorance. It's the ignorance. There's a lot of people on the planet, and they all communicate with each other, and some are very good at communicating with each other. Some people love communicating with each other. But in order to have an informed opinion, you can't just talk. You have to be informed. You have to pay attention. Gain wisdom. So, however, the desire to speak is greater than the desire to study. You obviously are left with endless speech devoid of wisdom. And the simplest wisdom to share with multiple people that we can all express and agree with without doing any investigation whatsoever are the racial distinctions we notice on the planet.
This is like I think a part of it, but it's even a small part of it, the ignorance. I think a bigger problem is that a lot of this ignorance has been legitimized. Like when something happens and then the UN condemns, and then there's a filing in the ICC, and then there's like MPs from UK it becomes almost reality. It's not just like idiots on X on a social audio app like bullshitting. It becomes like if you're now, from somewhere in the world and you see, okay, the UN says so, Amnesty says so, HRW says so, they say so it must be true. They're not ignorant. They're like smart people. They're doctors and professors, and they say, no, genocide this, genocide this, lawyers like ICJ, ICC. You cannot label it as ignorance. Yes, they use ignorance and the way that we live now in 2025, that everything has to be very, very fast.
Daniel, you don't understand McZed's point.
I do understand McZed's points.
Yeah, no, I think there's two things going on. One is a very thin, highly educated area in a very thin thing. So what it means is they know something really well, but they don't know the width of the entire problem. So there's a lot else going on. Hold on. And the other thing is there's a lot of elitism. I run into it in my own family. There's this sense that I have on a higher moral ground than you because I understand this struggle. I understand this better than you, and therefore I am better, and my morals are better. And it's insidious.
Yeah, but Yaakov,
elitism.
Ask any of those people what is the answer to the secret question of the riddle or the Sphinx, essentially. Like McZed knows the answer. I mean, it's wisdom, knowledge, understanding. It's really Kabbalah. It's intelligence. And you could say it's IQ or neshama. So the point is a lot of people have an undeveloped sense of self, meaning that, like McZed said, there's a lack of wisdom. When there's no wisdom, people run their mouths for years and say nothing smart, like Dr. Pepe.
For example, since the beginning of the war, I went to a few Wikipedia pages and I see how they've been edited. So even if people that consider themselves educated and would go and do their own research, they will find a lot of research and a lot of sources to like substantiate those crazy ideas. Like if you talk, like you will find now like documents from the Nakba and this entire story of the Nakba. So it becomes real. Now Nakba is something that you can learn in universities about. You can have like discussions about it. What I'm trying to say is that yes, there's a lot of ignorance, but I think that the sources has been tainted. Like they poisoned the well that then goes to the UN or to like legal courts or like parliaments, and it became legitimized.
You can't poison the well because silence fills that void. And the fact is, when their lips are moving, they're lying. And if you record their lies and republish it and reframe it and re-propagandize their propaganda, it nullifies it.
Listen, people that are sick.
There are two types of people.
Just
They're
to-
like we
yeah,
said,
go ahead.
like you two types of people. You have the people that are sort of like insidious. You'll like there'll be like those professors that sort of they know that there's more context to it, but they decide to like leave it out because it fits their agenda. And then you have those like I want to believe that a lot of these liberals they actually mean like they're basically acting upon that same liberal mindset of we have to stick up for the oppressed, and they actually believe that they're doing the right thing. So I'm not saying I'm not saying they're right for doing it, and a lot of their thought process is evil, but I don't think they're thinking to themselves like, you know what we're saying is not really true, or they're just like they don't know. They don't study the history. They just go by like they would just watch the news, and there are definitely a lot of people.
What I mean by thin knowledge, they haven't. Yeah, it's like it's 1 inch wide and 1,000 miles tall versus being really wide and being maybe only 4 inches tall.
Right.
It's not just it's a lack of knowledge, but it's also not understanding, meaning there's no comprehension amongst these NPCs. They're just automatons repeating memories that's been regurgitated to them through their cell phone. There's no self-exploration or actual understanding.
Daniel, I'm sorry I interrupted you.
No, I don't remember what was the point back there.
Yeah, we do it all the time. Don't worry. He's got a thick skin.
Yeah, I tend to do it more. I have to.
Randy.
Like, my point is that like facts
They don't
are
know-
not
they don't-
always facts, and even if like this,
Like, they would just
let's
watch
look at
them.
this war. The people that are calling it genocide or like talking about like they could be like honest and they this is what they see, and it's not just like on the far edges of the Twitter sphere. It's like on TV and in the news and in the UN, in the parliaments, wherever the world, and in demonstrations. So they say, okay, I'm not like everybody's thinking the same, and the sources collaborate what they're saying. There are a lot of evidence. But it's like I don't think it's just idiocy. It's not even lack of critical thinking, because at the end, if you say, okay, but I'm checking different sources.
It's intentional.
So
you think
what
it's
just they fail to understand that just no. Listen, it's not that kind of conversation. So what I think they're missing is, despite the fact that HRW and Amnesty and all they are saying the same, they all come from the same source. I mean, none of them is on the ground, and the source from the number of deaths to those videos are all coming from Hamas. So when you understand this, then yes, it's critical thinking to say, okay, the UN is saying it, and they're saying it, they are saying it, but what is the source of those numbers, of those stories? It's all coming from one tainted source.
I think Israel did not kill nobody, man. I think they are lying.
So try to kind of maybe listen a bit to the conversation, understand kind of the level,
Yeah,
and then join in, okay?
This is just another manifestation of the political force of stupidity. Dr. Four is trying to essentially say he's a low IQ person wasting everybody's time.
No, stop. I'm not gonna derail the room, okay? This is not Amir's room. Everyone, if they wanna shout and genocide and all this bullshit, there's Amir's room. You can. Okay, so let's go back. We're talking about, and this is for you, actually, Adrian, whatever his name. Communication is hypnosis. It's exactly what is happening now. You were right after all.
Yep. Yeah.
The world
Actually,
is-
see, I've reframed it. I say all communication is comedy.
But he's right. I mean, the world is
Only if they're
the
loud.
world is now under this hypnosis of like this mirror
What type
world
of
of like
hypnosis, my friend?
of what is going on. Like most people, like I guess you also
What
don't.
was this comment? What did you say for?
Man, can I try to join in the conversation?
Yeah, sure. What?
Yeah.
Yes, you
What
would
is
probably
the-
use
what
as
is
an
the-
example.
What do you think is like the hypnosis? What do you think is wrong now?
Everything is wrong. I mean, the hyper focus on Israel that no one is noticing. For example, go to Amnesty.
I'll tell you. And this,
Listen,
everyone will like this. The societal morality does not really endorse a hyper conscious awareness. It doesn't. It mostly
I went to.
to do what everyone else is doing.
Like, listen. Daniel is saying is that the numbers that of the people who died may be not correct because the
It is
numbers
not correct. It's not maybe not correct. I'm saying
They
it
are
is not correct.
They are not correct.
Yes.
Verified, yeah.
They were
So wait-
revised last week.
Wait, Migzet is saying that we have an ethical, moral problem in society and the culture today, right now?
Hold on, hold on.
Let me talk.
Let him talk.
And you're trying to say that we talked about the numbers. You think that they are.
Is
fake,
it lack of
and you
virtue?
think that the word.
Oh my
Man,
God.
let me continue.
Edmund, shut up.
Edmund, please.
And you say that the numbers that you say that the world like they think that Israel is doing something wrong, right?
Yes. More than this, I mean, it's not as simple as that. I think for example, today I went to Amnesty Ireland Twitter page, and there's this Grok, and I went to Grok and I asked him, can you list all the
Listen.
wars and all the atrocities that happened in the world in the last 3 years, and give me the number of posts that Amnesty Ireland posted about it, okay? And number one is 500 posts about Israel, Gaza, and then I think there was 70 about Ukraine, Russia, and then there's a long list of things that you've never heard of that are happening in the world, including in Ireland, by the way, that they had like maybe 5 posts in the last 3 years. What?
They are killing in Ireland.
I only ask things with death. So, for example, in Yemen, in Syria, I don't even. I can find a list now. Maybe if you would like all the things that are happening in the world.
I think they are not so far away.
No.
Maybe if they are not correct.
No.
Maybe they are not
The numbers
far away from
the numbers are one of the lowest. Okay.
What?
Now, if you talk
100,000 people now.
Okay, but even
to
do what everyone else is doing.
Numbers.
Like, listen. Daniel is saying is that the numbers that of the people who died may be not correct because the
it is
numbers
not correct.